Hey, hey. Well, here we are.
Yep, we made it.
We're here at the Stack and Kicks headquarters in the Lloyd Center Mall.
Right. Yep.
With my guy David.
What's happening?
We're just gonna have a little podcast discussion today.
Fair enough.
You know, it's not gonna be an interview. It's not gonna be nothing real formal. We're just we're gonna hang out and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about life. We're gonna talk about mindset, leadership, business, a little bit of everything. So
and tell them a little bit about what you've been doing first, bro, so we can tell them how we kind of came and brought it together.
Yeah, so I mean, lately I've been really busy. I've been working on, my mindset program with my different students. I just launched a new course on leadership and structuring. So I've been working through that with a few clients as well. And I'm planning a big move out to the East Coast. So
Miami?
Heading to Miami and just kind of getting prepared, packing and giving things away and getting ready for that shift. So, I wanted to sit down here with David before I left and make sure we had a few words to, inspire people and to bring some good conversation.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Get some content.
Yep. I like what my guy been doing. I've been seeing him put a lot of content out. And I know he's moving out to Miami. He supports Stacking pretty heavy. And I was like, man, we got to have a conversation. It's easy to get on here and do a video solo or whatever, but he focused on mindset a lot, and that's something that I do too, something that I think very, very highly of, and I contributed or attributed, to everything that I'm doing and been able to accomplish. And sometimes I just don't think people really understand the details about what mindset actually is, right? It just sounds so easy. It's like, just what is that, and I think that a lot of times we don't really think, we think it's too easy to change our lives by changing our mindset. Like it's got to be more difficult than just thinking differently,
right?
And sometimes it's really not, so my guy focused on that all the time, and it's something I talk about a lot. So it was like, bro, let's have a conversation before you head out to Miami, man. Let's make it happen. And y'all feel free to ask questions because we can see the lives here. You know what I mean? So if you got questions or something you want to say or add or challenge us on, I'm with it.
Yeah, I would love to make it an open discussion. If anybody got anything you want us to jump in or you got some comments. But I love what you said about, people don't really understand mindset sometimes. And I have this bracelet. It says, success is a mindset and my mind is set. And I like that. I wear it every day because success is a mindset,
right,
and my mind is set. So when you break it down, his mind is set, right?
Okay.
So it's like you've set your mind. You've made a predetermined decision as to how you are going to act in a situation, right? So, we make so many decisions every day, but 99% or 98% of our decisions are subconscious.
Right.
So how do we create a framework for our subconscious to go off of to make those decisions when we're not always conscious of them? Right. We create a mindset. We create a core value system in which this is our identity, this is who we are, this is how we are going to respond. So we don't have to consciously be thinking about it. We just naturally respond in that way. That is our mindset. So when we're looking at changing our mindset, we're looking at changing our identity. We're looking at changing who we are as a person because we're choosing to change our predetermined set decision-making factors.
Facts.
Right? And I also like what you said is like some people are like, well, it's not so simple just changing your mind. So our thoughts become our words become our habits become our actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while it might not be the only thing, it is the first step. And I think that's what a lot of people ask me, like, oh, what do you do with mindset? Why is mindset so important? It's like you can't build a house by pouring a concrete foundation.
Right.
But that's the first thing you got to do to build a house.
Right. You got to set the structure.
You got to set the structure. So it's like, sure, you're not going to build a whole house by just pouring a concrete foundation, but you're not going to build a house without doing that either.
True.
That's the first step. So setting your mindset is not going to just change your life because you just think something differently. But now that you think differently, you're going to speak differently. Now that you speak differently, you're going to act differently.
Right.
Now that you act differently, you're going to leave a different legacy.
Right.
So that's kind of the progression of it, right? Is the whole point is we start with the mindset and everything else follows.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It turns into to action. And so, it's not as easy as just changing your mind. I mean, because when your mind changes, your life should change with it, right? Because then your thoughts turn into actions. That's basically what it means. It don't mean you just think of something and everything changes. And that's why people sometimes, I think, discredit the law of attraction, discredit energy.
Exactly.
But because, or prayer, right? Mm-hmm. Because when it comes to prayer, you're supposed to pray, not pray and wait, but you prayed and you go get what you prayed for. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so there's action that comes in with it. And so when it comes to the mindset, your mind is set on a certain formula that you're going to consistently use day to day through words and actions that's going to help you make decisions in response to everything that happens to you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the set mind does. So you actually don't really have to think anymore, right? Because your value systems are lined up. Right. Your boundaries are lined up to protect that value system. Your value system is designed to bring you peace, right? Get you closer to your overall goal, and then you don't deviate outside of it. And that's a set, right? It's something that has to happen. When you're dealing with mathematics and you're dealing with algebra, like a quadratic formula, you know what I mean, which is one of the popular formulas in algebra. You don't change the formula, you change what you put into it. You change the variables, you change the numbers. You don't change the formula though. The formula is set, right? Mm-hmm. It's just set. And so we have to come up with a specific formula for our minds that we're going to use to make decisions as they arrive, because how far you go and the accomplishments that you make are all, I think, geared towards your response and your ability to process information. Right. And so when I think about processing information, I think about what mindset are you using to process? And is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is it internal or is it built off your environment where you come from? 100%. And so those are things people got to grapple with when they're starting to decide how to think. I tell people the same thing every time. The world is designed to destroy those who can't process information, right? And what that means is it's destroying people with weak mindsets. Why? Because these people don't know how to think for themselves. They don't have a set that they use to process things that come to their mind. And so they basically identify with everything that's being put out. Then it becomes their life. It becomes a picture of them. And then they represent it as if it's who they really are, which is a lack of authenticity, a lack of individuality, which is going to keep you from getting the things that the universe has in store for you, because they don't reward copycats. They don't reward frauds. Even if they look like they're getting further for a moment, everything comes crashing down when the authenticity is lacking. And you end up not being who you present yourself to be, and nobody can really keep up an act, forever. Like even in a movie, they got to say cut sometimes. You feel me? Because people got to get comfortable, got to get back in the acting mode, and get back ready to be on set. I
really like what you said there, and it's not always who we are, but we might think it is because of one reason or another. And so that's why I really like what you said about authenticity, is sometimes we believe we are something until we really get down to it, and then we're like, do I believe that, or have I always been told that? And so I just assumed that's who I was, even though in the back of my mind I knew something was wrong, but I just always been told that's what's right. So I just believed it. And you do believe it over time. You get jaded and you start to think, well, if everybody tells me that this is what I need, then maybe it is what I need. And so you start veering off the path of your authenticity because you want to fit in with society, because we have this need for a sense of community. So sometimes we get caught in the wrong communities just to have a community, and we come outside of ourselves to pretend we are something else so that we could have that community, instead of tapping into our authentic self and finding our true community,
right?
And so whenever I think about what mindset do I have right now, I think, is this something that's coming from my authentic self, or is this coming from an external factor of like, where did I learn this? Why do I believe this way? Is this because somebody taught me this, somebody told me this, and what are the value systems of that person? Like, if somebody's telling me to do something, but I don't want to be like them, why am I listening to them? Because if you listen to somebody, then you're going to become like them.
100%.
So you got to look at, and it could be in so many different ways, right? So like, there's so many facets of this in life, right? Like, if you love somebody, if you have like a family member, right? You can love them as a person, and you could want to be like them in some certain aspects. Maybe they're a very good person, they're very kind, they love other people, but maybe they don't understand business. So now you get conflicted because they're telling you, oh, like my parents were like, oh, you shouldn't run a business, you should just go to school, go the normal route, right? I love my parents, they're good-hearted people, they're kind people, but they don't understand business, so I'm not going to take their advice on business because they're not business owners.
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with the type of person they are. But when I take on those beliefs from them as, oh, I'm not going to be successful as a business owner, oh, I should just go to college, oh, I should just get a job, of course they're telling me that because that's what they did. And that's what was successful for them, so they want the best for me. They see, okay, this worked for me, so I think this is going to work for you. But you have to look at, is that perspective coming from somebody else, or is it coming from my authentic self? My authentic self is a business owner. I want to be a business owner. So I had to look into my authentic self and say, is going to college and getting a job and doing all that, is that me being authentic, or is that me just trying to please my parents or society or whatever? And so it takes a lot to break out of that and say, I'm going to go my own way. I'm going to go the way that's authentic to me, even though it might not be what other people see me. They might see me as being rebellious, or they might see me as, going down a bad path or something. But to you, if you know that it's authentic to you, like, follow your dreams, follow your heart, and you're going to find people that are in alignment with you eventually. Like, you might lose some friends in the meantime, but maybe those weren't the friends that you were supposed to be around in the first place. And then eventually you're going to find people that are in alignment with you, and it's going to be so much better of a friendship because you guys are going to be able to be authentic and go back and forth. You're not going to have to sit there and pretend to be somebody around these people. You get to just be yourself. And you don't have to think about it, It's like, you don't have to think about, what are these people thinking of me? Are they judging me? Do I have to act a certain way? You could just be yourself. And that's one of the best feelings in the world, is like not worrying, being with somebody that you don't have to worry about, what am I going to say? How are they going to think of me? You can just be yourself and know that you are loved, you are in a community, and you are respected for who you are.
It's a lot of power in that, man. And ultimately, it puts you in a space to where you're now living on your terms. As I was explaining to a gentleman that just came in here, when you create a life of authenticity, and everything that you do is in alignment with your truth, you got to realize how good that feels. Every day you wake up and you are truly doing you, and you're respectful, but you're unapologetic about it. And you have boundaries set around you that allows you to continue to be you, and keep out the things and people and places that don't allow you to be you, or don't respect when you're trying to be you, or trying to change you, for that matter. You said something important, when you talked about growing up in a home with a family. A lot of our mindset has come from tradition. They come from things that people used to doing and been doing for years. And nobody typically challenges them or disrupts them, and every now and again, you get somebody special come through the family, and they change the dynamics, and there's a reason why you see families full of gang members. There's reasons why you see families full of, people that deal drugs. There's reason why you see families full of police officers, police full of lawyers, families full of, real estate agents or investors, family full of every, you know, it's that thing that you learn. This is breakfast table talk. You know what I mean? This is what you learn. And so some of those things you keep, some of those things you look at, you challenge, you unlearn. You got to decide what's truly you. You know, all your blessings, all your accomplishments, your peace, your alignment, everything's behind you being able to operate in your truth consistently over an extended period of time until the universe starts to acknowledge what you are and provide those opportunities and those open doors for you to move and walk through. And I think that's the thing that people forget. It does take some time. People always want the shortcut. There is no shortcut to finding you and representing you. You know, all the shortcuts typically come with dead ends. You know, it's a long game. You know, I started my journey almost 19 years ago, you know, throwing clothes in my trunk. Right. Didn't know what I was doing, but I did it because it was me. I love clothes. I love shoes. And that was the moment in my life where I said, man, I want to do me. And it's like, well, what is you? I said, I don't know what I am, but I do know what I love. You know, I love shoes and clothes. So I'm not allowed to spend any more moments in my life not doing the things that I love. That was a commitment I made to myself almost like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm not allowed to do anything I don't love, and I've been sticking with that as far as business, as far as career, as far as people. I struggled a couple of times with relationships, so that's a little bit harder because there's an emotional component to that, you know. So I had to continue to learn that up until just about, 4 or 5 years ago. And so that's another process. But, and creating boundaries for yourself is what people need to do. If you feel like your life is out of alignment, you feel like things aren't working, you feel like you're not getting the results you want, try to challenge yourself to take a look at where's your authenticity gauge? How much are you truly being you? A lot of us just aren't being us, so we're not getting the benefits of our individuality. There's a payment, there's a reward for everybody that's an individual, right? I just told bro that just walked out. I was like, the beautiful thing about this authenticity is it brings out your individuality. The beautiful thing about your individuality is it separates you from everything that you're around, because now you operate from you. So what does it mean when you separate yourself? It means that you illuminate, right? Your light is brighter. You're able to be seen a lot easier than a lot of people are. And what happens when you're seen, especially if you're living your truth, well, there's opportunities that come from that. You're the one that people think about under these certain circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a fashion show or a pop-up event, or somebody needs a speaker somewhere in the school, typically I'm one of the ones that people think about because I've been wallowing in my individuality in those spaces for some time. Not saying I'm able to take them all or that they're even in alignment with what I stand for, but my name does come up in these conversations, and I typically get calls and emails and texts all day about opportunities to continue to work in my passion, and continue to, make money from it and grow from it and build it, and protect it, So those are things that you want to think about as you build in your life. The world is they try to take us away from ourselves. Everything is designed for that. Social media is designed to move you further away from yourself. Politics designed for the same reason. These conversations between, men and women hating each other, designed to take them away from each other. Meanwhile, we don't realize we all been victims of the same power structure, So looking at each other doesn't fix it, but going into, I think, the deep breakdown of where these issues initiate from, we have to do it together, and this is why these conversations are important, and so talk a little bit about, you talked about mindset. What about, how does mindset pertain to business? How do they work together, in your opinion?
Yeah, so, when I first got on this journey of coaching, I thought I'm just going to be a life coach. I'm just going to coach people on life in general. And it was such a broad topic. I really had to narrow it down, and I narrowed it down to mindset. And then further from mindset, I narrowed it down to business owner mindset. Particularly because I've always been a business owner. Since I was 18 years old, I started my own business, right? I knew, I was like, oh, you got to be 18 to own a business license.
Okay.
So like a week after I turned 18, I went to the Secretary of State office and I went and I incorporated my first business.
Dang.
And I was like, I'm a business owner. I didn't even know what it meant. But I was like, I got the paper, right?
Right.
I was so excited. I knew that's what I wanted to be. And I went through a lot of, different struggles trying to start my own. My first business was, a bicycle shop. I was, buying and selling used bikes and repairing them in my garage and working off Craigslist, right? That was my first gig. And then I got into jewelry and I did so many other things. But the mindset of a business owner, I think, is so much different than the mindset of somebody who just goes to work a job and has a W-2 and, they have that paycheck. So, as a business owner, we're looking at how can we provide value and how can we charge for that value and create a profit from our product or service, right? And how can we help other people to the point where they're willing to help us, right? And it's an exchange of value. I give you value as in my product or service, you give me value as in currency, right? And so the mindset of a business owner, when they need to buy something, like if you wanted something, if you were trying to save up for a car and it was $10,000, you wouldn't say, well, if I save $1,000 a month on my paycheck, it's going to take me 10 months to save 10 grand.
Right.
You don't think like that. You think, I need to make $10,000 in profit.
Right.
If I make a 30% profit margin on my gear and I'm trying to make $10,000, I need to get $35,000 worth of gear and I'll make a $10,000 profit. Right?
Yep.
So that's how we think. That's our mindset. It's different than somebody with a job. So, and then beyond that, once I get into the scope of leadership and expanding your business beyond, going from a small business to a medium or a larger business is more about leadership because you have to build a team around you. You can't really just do everything yourself. At a certain point, it becomes something greater than yourself. Right? And so the most successful business owners are great leaders because they're able to have people follow them, have people working underneath them, and they're able to expand their operations, right, to where they're making money even when they're not working because other people are working under their business model. Maybe they start a franchise or they have multiple locations or now they create something digital that they can sell. They create some automations, right? They have like different crews that are working for them. Like imagine a construction worker versus a contractor. A contractor can have multiple crews going out and working versus if he's just a construction worker, he can only work one job at a time. So that's where the leadership comes in because it's like, okay, I want to grow and expand my business. I need to lead other people. And in order to lead other people, I need to set an example as somebody that somebody would want to follow. So that makes you think it's like, okay, well, if people are going to follow me, why are they going to follow me versus following somebody else? I need to be the type of person that somebody's going to want to follow. And then how are you going to lead them? Are you going to lead them? What are you going to lead them to? Right? You want to lead them to something positive, something good that's going to help them. Right? So there's a lot of people that are in this mindset of like, I win, you lose, right? They don't care if the other person loses as long as they win. Right. But if you want to be a good leader, you want everybody to win. You want it to be a win-win. You want to bring people up with you. You don't want to bring people down just to benefit yourself, right? And so you start looking at yourself and thinking if everybody in the world acted like I did, what would the world look like? You know what I mean? Because you're going to be making little carbon copies of yourself as a leader. And so you start looking at yourself on a deeper level of like, am I setting a good example? Am I somebody that I would follow? If I was looking at me. Right? And so it makes you want to become a better version of yourself. And I think I wanted to become a better version of myself for myself. But when I started looking at it as I need to help others become a better version of themselves, and I can't tell them what to do until I've done it myself. That actually pushed me further to become a better person than doing it for my own selfish needs. Right? Doing it because I need to overcome this so I can show other people how to overcome this.
Right.
And so I overcame a lot. I overcame addictions. I overcame, like being homeless. I overcame all kinds of trials and tribulations, right? I did really well financially, and I've done poor financially, and I've been everywhere in between. And I've overcome a lot of that because now I have the opportunity to teach other people how to overcome that.
Right. Yeah, it's powerful, bro.
It is powerful, and it's like we can't force anybody to do anything, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? So all we can do is lead by example and hope that we inspire those who are ready and willing to take that call.
Right.
Because there's some people who are just not ready or just not willing, or maybe just not even able at the moment. But those who are ready and they are willing, they're going to see your message. They're going to see the way you act, what you're doing, and they're going to follow you, right? And that's how you build a business that has a following, right? It's like you built your business over a lot of years, right? Because of the type of person you are. Like you were saying, people come in here not even just to buy something. Sometimes they come in just to talk. Because they just want to have some, because they know they can talk to you because you're somebody that's going to guide them on a good path or help them with, whatever they're struggling with. So that's not necessarily a monetary transaction, but that's just who you are.
It's value.
That's value. You're providing value whether you're receiving it or not. And that's why when somebody does want to come get some clothes, they want to get, a sweatsuit or they want to get some shoes, they come to you because you provided value to them in the past, or maybe, you provided value to somebody that you knew, and that was meaningful for them.
That's powerful, and people do come in here all the time just to talk. And I admit, man, I love it. If you know me, I love to talk. I love building, and I love having the conversation, man. And, just finding ways to encourage each other, bro. That's just what I love to do, man. And the brand and the store gives me a platform to do just that. And I think the brand has been built on the premise, of a higher vibration, good energy, good community work. And oftentimes people just want to come in here and feel the vibe and energy that they heard about. You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing. Sometimes they buy, sometimes they just come in and say, "What's up, man?" And I respect that and appreciate that as well. But yeah, and it's got to be bigger than us. One thing about business, it's got to be bigger than you. And so when people start a business and they make it all about them, I think it takes away from some of the integrity of what you're doing and what you stand for. And the brand is not the product. The brand is not the service. The brand is the human being that creates and is responsible for all of this. A brand is a feeling, right? It's not a thing or, again, a product or service. It's a feeling. It's the way that you feel when you connect with this particular brand or brand owner. And as an owner, we have to stop thinking that we're bigger than that the brand is bigger than us and that we're separate. It's not a separate thing. You are the brand. You are the brand. Those are the clothes. That's how they connect to the brand. So if people want to feel a little bit of dose of positive energy, they want to feel like they support something that's inspiring, something that cares about the community that they're in, they might say, "Hey, man, I want a Stack and Kick shirt for today." I just want to carry that vibration with me, and that's how the brand sort of grew into having sort of a subset called the Energy Series. You know what I mean? It does its own. It's Energy Series because its owner is very energetic and very vibrational, and you have to represent that in what you create, right? This is why what you create becomes unique and becomes an expression of your individuality, because now this is the only brand that you're probably going to get that feeling from. Everybody's different. Every brand owner is different, and this is why we all don't compete with each other, right? We support each other. Right. I don't compete with the other brands. I don't speak ill of them. I don't dislike them. we all want different things. We have different values. We're doing this for different reasons, right? I'm doing it for a totally different reason than what other brands might be doing it for. And so no, there's no competition. And I love what they do. I love the hustle. I love to see people come in this industry and create and build and hustle and stay committed and push it out there. I love to watch it. I will probably buy some of your stuff. You know what I mean? And so that's what you got to think about when you think about branding. When you think about business, don't separate who you are from what you create, right? Because now, what are you creating if it's not you? So people got to think about that. My brand is truly who I am. I am Stacking Kicks. People may have heard about it in 2010. I've been stacking kicks since I was third grade. This is who I've always been. I just introduced it in 2010. So the brand has a strong level of authenticity from David Jefferson's real life. That's why it works. That's why I love what I do. And that's why the brand has been able to help me express my identity a little bit more, and it's helped me grow into a man. It's helped me understand the value of branding. It's also helped me understand the process of individual definitions of success. It's helped me refine what I think success is, right? And now that we're talking about success, because you talk about that sometimes too, right? And so when I think about success, I think about a person living a life on their terms. When I think about a person living life on their terms, I think about a person living in peace. How do you get to live in peace? A lot of people live in this world and they never get an opportunity to experience peace. They live and they die and have never known what peace and happiness was. I don't think life is long enough to not have that experience. I'm having the experience right now, and it's a very powerful experience. But there's a science to it. There's a formula to what success is, and the definition is internal. It's not where you're from. It's not the people that you grew up around. It's not your family tradition. It's not your social media friends, right? It's none of these things. It's you. It's you learning how to project authentically, consistently, again, over a period of time until your vibration resonates in the world that you're in and people are now looking for you. You're not looking for them, right? And
it's attraction.
It's attraction, law of attraction.
Right.
And so people always ask me, how do you start the process? How do you get to a space of beginning to define yourself? And one thing that I've learned about it is you being honest with yourself about how you feel about any given thing that's in your life. That means your career. That means your relationship. That means your business, right? That means your job. That means your friendships, your best friends, your family. You have to be truthful with how these things make you feel. You got to forget about what's normal. Forget about what's comfortable. Forget about what's easier. Forget about what you've always done. Forget about what people expect from you. Forget about what the media and social media and politics tell you who you are. Forget about all of it. And focus on, how does this make me feel? Go around your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and think about how you feel when you're with them. Go to work tomorrow. Think about how you feel at that place. Go into your business and think about how you feel when you're there. Go anywhere, do anything, sit with yourself alone and figure out how you feel about that.
Yeah.
Address this feeling, then you start to operate and make decisions off that feeling. That feeling is what's supposed to be guiding you. That's your spirit. That can be your God. That can be whatever you subscribe to. It could just be your conscience, whatever. Intuition. But intuition, whatever it is, follow it because it's telling you more about you. And as long as you don't know about you, they don't have to worry about you disrupting nothing, right? You're not going to make no waves, and they're comfortable with that. And this is why they don't attack you. This is why they don't really stress you out. This is why you don't have to deal with a lot of issues that people deal with that actually find themselves, because they're trying to dismantle and discourage us from being truthful. We know we live in a world that's not real privy on the truth. Tell it anyway. You will feel better. You'll sleep better, and you will get in alignment. There's a special place. There's a special place in peace for people who are okay with being truthful.
against whatever losses they might suffer because of that, right? And that's where you should start. Your life should be centered around that and built off of that. And then just watch and see the things that you get from that. Watch the energy, watch the alignment, watch the peace, watch the money, watch the success, watch the love. It comes. It's a process, though. It's not immediate gratification. It's what we call delayed gratification. So
yeah, I think a couple things I thought about when you were talking is, you know, a lot of people, I work with them on their mindset, and we start diving deeper into it, and there's these conflicting mindsets, right? And they don't know who they are.
Right.
They know that there's maybe two different types of people they could be, but they don't make a decision as to this is who I am.
Right.
Sometimes they're this, sometimes they're that. Right? Maybe around certain people they're this, and around certain people they're that. They haven't made a definite decision, and because they're so conflicted, that's where the anxiety comes in. That's where the depression comes in, because they're looking into these two different worlds, or these two different directions that they could go, and they don't know where to go because they haven't made a definite choice about who they are and what they are going to do. When you make a choice about who you are and what you want to do, you don't have all these worries about what's going to happen, because you're like, whatever happens, I'm going to just do what I'm going to do based on who I am.
Yeah.
So it becomes more simple. But when you have these conflicting ideas of who you are, what you want to be,
powerful.
You don't know what's going to happen. Everything is confusing because you're looking at these two different worlds, and they can't coexist together because they're not the same.
Right.
And so when you're looking at these two different worlds, or maybe 3 or 4 different worlds, you want to look at which one resonates with me most authentically.
Facts.
Right? Because there's only going to be one that resonates with you authentically. You might have 2, 3, 4 different options, and all of them are going to have positives and negatives, right? There's good things and bad things that come from anything. But which one resonates with you most authentically?
Right.
That's the path that you should choose. And it might not always be the easiest path.
Right.
A lot of times it's not. I think about the convenient lies and the inconvenient truth. Because a lot of time the lies are going to be convenient. They're going to be easy up front. And then later they're going to be more difficult.
Yes.
But the truth might be more difficult up front, but it's going to make life easier down the road. So you're going to look at these lies and you're going to be like, man, it would be real convenient if this was true, but only convenient right now.
Right.
And then later down the road, I'm going to pay the price for that. But this would be really difficult to do right now, but I know later down the road it's going to pay off. You know, and so looking at those convenient lies or those inconvenient truths, and then being authentic, and then having the faith and having the courage to choose what might be more difficult right now, and having the discipline and consistency to do that over and over, delaying the gratification, like you said, instead of seeking that instant gratification and believing those lies. Know your truth, know your authenticity, and be bold and be courageous enough to speak your mind and tell people the truth and tell people who you are without fear of judgment, without fear of, you know, what's going to happen if this or this. Like, don't worry about that.
Right.
Focus on being yourself. Focus on being authentic. Focus on living in your truth, and be disciplined and consistent, and your life is going to work out long term.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get crazy at first. I mean, it gets worse before it gets better in some situations, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you haven't been living in your truth and you haven't been living authentically for so long that now you're surrounded with an environment or a peer group or a community that is so far from who you are and what you believe that you don't know what else to do but to stay, but you know you can't stay because it's not really who you are.
Right.
So it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until you break out.
Yeah.
And you're going to have those whispers at first, and then they're going to be voices, and then they're going to start yelling. Right. And when they start yelling, you gotta stop at some point, right?
Yeah.
And so listen to those whispers before they become screams. Right? Listen to those whispers and tap into that intuition, into that authenticity and that voice inside of you that you know this is what you're supposed to do, and and follow in faith. Like, know that you are going to be all right if you do that, and it takes a lot of courage.
Right.
And most people, they don't do it because they're living in fear or they're living in doubt.
Right.
And to break free from that, I mean, it takes courage, it takes strength.
Right.
But like, you ask God, hey, can I have more strength? And he gives you more trials and tribulations.
Right.
And you go, why are you putting all this weight on my shoulders? It's like, you said you wanted to be stronger. You got to lift heavier weights. You want to get stronger, you got to lift heavier weights. So you're going to get some heavier weight. You're like, why is all this happening to me? Because he is making you stronger, because that's what you asked for. Right? And so many people look at their life and they get all depressed or down. Like, why am I going through all this? It's because you're being built to be stronger so you can serve a greater purpose.
Yeah, man. And that's when it's important to really, and I think that really defines where your faith is, because you have to trust at that moment. That's the moment that God needs you the most to, trust his vision, trust his leadership and guidance. And oftentimes we fall off because things get too uncomfortable, 100%. And I feel like he's waiting to see who's falling off and who's still believe in him when things get rough. Who believes in him when they don't get what they want? Who believes in him when they get fired from work? You know what I'm saying? It challenges a lot of people on what they really stand on. But and you was definitely saying something about confliction, between what you are and what you aren't, which is kind of why it's hard to make decisions. A good thing that I learned just growing in my journey, growing in my spirituality, was how to really not make decisions. And so I don't really feel like I've made a decision in a long time. Honestly, people probably think I make them a lot, but the truth is I do what I feel is right. And I don't have to really think a lot. I don't have to, I say what I feel is right. I don't write down speeches. I'd be speaking at, galas and schools and prisons and podcasts. I don't write nothing down. I say what I feel is right. And I say what's truly authentic to me and how I feel. And that can flow out because it's truthful, you know. And so, again, that's why I said think about how you feel in all these scenarios, because if you really start to get in touch with how you feel, you can sort of guide yourself into starting to do what feels right. Just do what feels right. Don't do what you want to do. Do what feels right. And I think that's the pathway to more alignment and more success. What's right does not mean what's easy. Right. And I think we're taught. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like we taught to really look for the easy route. We look for the easy route in relationships, in business, and money. We're always looking for shortcuts. I don't know nobody who really maintained long term from a shortcut. Mm-hmm. I don't really know it. And why? Because shortcuts don't build great journeys, right? And what inspires people, what brings success, what brings peace and happiness? Powerful journeys. There's not enough money people can give me to take a shortcut, you know. And again, I get a lot of advice asked of me from people getting into an industry, getting into entrepreneurship, or hell, looking for relationship advice. Everybody wants a shortcut. There's no shortcut, you know. It's only a long-term delayed gratification type of thing. It took me over 15 years just to get here, you know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful for every bit of it. And it's made me extremely wise, you know. Taught me a lot about people, a lot about humanity, a lot about myself, a lot about God, a lot about faith, a lot about spirituality, a lot about success. I've learned a lot. This is why I like to talk about it, because I feel like people don't really acknowledge exactly what success truly is. Mm-hmm. And speaking of success, you know, a good guy asked me earlier, he was like, why you never talk about money, man? Right. Why you never talk about the financial piece, the piece that comes with financial, independence and whatnot? I'm different, man. Shit, I don't like to talk about money. You know, I need money. You know, I'm gonna make money, but it's not at the top of my value system. And I don't know if that's hard to believe or not. Of course, I want to make it, but I don't want that to be my focus. Yeah. Because there's not enough money that anybody can give me to step outside of what I believe in.
So what I believe in is bigger than money. And this is why I talk about what I believe in and not money. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to think about that. And personally, I believe, again, I'm going to say it again, like I've been saying it. I believe that if you, again, you in alignment, you being consistent with your truth, you operate out authenticity, right? You express your individuality extremely clear and consistently. You're bringing value, and you have boundaries to protect those values. I think money's going to find you. That's what I believe. Because I think you're gonna get so many opportunities from that level of truth. Because a lot of people don't offer that much truth, right? They offer convenience and comfort, but they don't offer a lot of truth. And people that are out here telling the truth, everybody don't like them, but they do find their space in the world. And there are people who love the truth, and there are people that are willing to be a part of and support things that are true. And there's a lot of people that do this. They might not be on social media going viral with the negativity, but they're out there. They're paying attention and they're watching. You play the game like there's always a scout in the crowd. Again, one thing I ain't talked about yet is intentionality. You know what I'm saying? That is the most important part of building yourself, is how intentional you are with everything that you do, including social media. Like, you can't just get on social media and say whatever you want to say. And think it's not going to affect what you're building. That is not going to affect your peace. That is not going to affect your happiness. That is not going to affect your finances. It's going to affect every aspect of your life, because that's energy that you're developing and presenting to the universe. Yes, social media is part of the universe. Whether people want to believe it or not, it's real. And if you're one of them people that say social media ain't real, then you got a lot of learning to do. A lot. It's about the realest thing I've seen in my lifetime. Use it strategically, okay? And so that part is what I wanted people to really understand. Intentionality. Your words and your actions, everything you do and say got to be in alignment with what you stand for and what you're overall trying to accomplish. Because if you don't get in alignment with those, or something doesn't add up, your character will come into question. Who you are will come into question. What you really believe and stand for will come into question. Why you're doing this will come into question, right? And when you come into question, you lose leverage. You lose impact, right? You lose inspiration. You lose money. You lose a lot of things when it's not clear on where you stand. Be clear with that. It better not be a person out there that really know me that say, I don't know what Dave stand for. You better know, because I've been sitting on this forever. I've been talking about energy since 08. The 09, I've been on this energy thing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing changed. I just grown. And I've gotten wiser. But it better not be a person who really know me that say, I don't even know who he is. I don't know. He's conflicting with what he do and who he says he is. Nobody better not say that about me. You know, if you feel that way, please tap in with me. You know, but on another note, be consistent with that, because this is where your power comes from. You know, this is how you build. And this is how you reach your dreams. Too many people think they can do and say whatever the hell they want, and then ask and beg God for this type of success, and then claim that people hate them when they don't get it, knowing that their words and actions are going like this. We need them like this. We need them everywhere you go. It's got to be your word, your action, like this.
In alignment.
It don't matter where you at, but they need to be going the same space. They need to be saying the same thing. So when your name come up, they're like, man, I know exactly who this person is. I know what they stand for, and this is the kind of person I want to work with. You know, remember, man, just no shortcuts. And again, my guy posed a question and said, bro, you don't talk about finances. You don't talk about making money. And people probably assume, people can probably assume I'm making money, you know what I'm saying? But also realize that I don't talk about it unless I'm in the financial industry. You know, I know you do that sometimes, and that's your industry. I respect that, but I'm not in the finance industry. Why am I running around telling people how much money that I make or talking about money? I just don't believe in that. And everybody gonna do it differently. You know, no shade towards anybody who has that focus. I'm just saying it's not something you should expect to hear from me, because I'm not trying to separate myself by financial brackets. I'm here with y'all because we in the same struggle, you know what I'm saying? And if I make money based off being authentic, being true, and really representing myself to a high degree, then I'm gonna make money.
That's just a side effect. Side effect. Making money is a side effect of being great. It's all it really is. To me, it's just nothing to talk about. You know. So I don't mean you shouldn't have it. Please make money, get money, understand the importance of it, pay your bills, but please don't make it the top of your value system to where you would do anything for it, because the things that you do anything for are the things that control you.
I like what you said, because I've actually been thinking about money a lot, and reading the Bible more. And in the Bible, it actually says, it doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money.
Yes.
So it's not that you can't get money and still be a righteous person. Mm-hmm. It's that you can't put money above being a righteous person, just like you said, right? So it's like, sure, get your money, do all that, but do not sell out for money your values and your principles, and that's really what's important. Yeah. And that's I totally agree with you on that. I mean, I help people break down their financial statements, so obviously I'm going to be talking about money. Of course. But beyond that, I really speak about mindset and leadership. Right. And a lot of people come to me in their business and they go, well, if I study mindset, how am I going to make money?
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
Facts. You want me to pay you $5,000? You want me to pay you $10,000 for coaching? How am I going to get my money back?
Right.
And I go, look, when you fix your mindset, when you become a better leader, like you said, the byproduct of that is going to be more financial success.
100%.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're going to get rich because you change your mindset, because that's not what it's about.
Right.
But I can tell you, you're going to have a more rich life.
Right.
You're going to have a life that is more authentic to yourself, more authentic to your followers. And the thing is, when you show up as your authentic self, people gravitate to that, because people secretly, they want to be their authentic self, but they don't know how to express themselves.
Right.
So when they see somebody else being authentic, somebody else being themselves, they're like, oh, what's this guy doing? Oh, how's he so definite? How's he so sure about what he's talking about? Like, when I come in and see you, I don't question how you're going to act or how you're going to, like, I know how you're going to act, because I know who you are, because you are a definite person, right? And that's why people come in to see you. That's why people support your brand, because they know it's consistent, it's definite. When they see David, when they see Stacking, they know what to expect. It's like when you go to McDonald's, the burgers are the same every time.
Yeah.
When you go to, different chain, when you go to Jimmy John's, it's like the sandwich is made the same every time.
Yeah.
It's consistent, right? It's definite. It's set in stone, right? It's a mindset, right? It doesn't change.
Right.
And that's the thing, is when you have that mindset and it doesn't change and is set for a long period of time consistently, that's where success lies.
Yeah, 100%.
And when you start confusing it with other things, right, like we were talking about before, when you have these conflicting things, it's like your mind isn't set. Your mind is variable. Your mind is like, oh, if I feel like it today, then I'm going to be like this. But if I feel like it tomorrow, I'm going to be like that. It's like nobody knows what to expect. You know, if you went into McDonald's and they're like, oh, I feel like giving you half of a cheeseburger today instead of a full one, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I ordered a full one.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't go back there again.
Right.
You know what to expect, because it's the same every time.
Right.
And that's the trust that you have with a business, with a brand, that when you come to them, you're going to get what you expect. Right? And when that's done over and over and over, you build that trust with your clients, that they know what to expect when they come through to you. They know exactly what they're going to get, and they know it's not going to be different every time.
Right. And and like you said with the whole McDonald's thing, you know, like and when people do go to places or deal with people, and it's always a different energy, after a while people just get disenchanted with it, you know what I'm saying? And then they just stop rocking altogether. It's like, I don't know what I'm gonna get, you know? Yeah. People break up because of stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, relationships end. And so again, it's intentionality, you know. I respect intentions, you know. I'm kind of past the point to where I'm saying sorry for everything, you know. And I rarely ever, as I've gotten stronger and got more in alignment, I really don't apologize much. And not because I don't take accountability, Usually I'm very intentional with the things I do and the things that I say because I don't really want to apologize. And I really don't want to accept a bunch of apologies either. You know what I'm saying? Because after a while, we got to realize that that whole I wasn't thinking thing starts going out the window, you know, as you age and you go through life a little bit. You know, you kind of have to think, you know what I'm saying? We're not in a position to not use our minds and not have a formula to process information that comes amongst us every single day. The most peaceful people, successful people, people that are happy, they have a way to process a set of their mind that they use every time information comes. You know, I mean, people know if they bring me drama, they know I might not respond.
Right.
And they know I might not say nothing. You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? You know, you got to understand that it's a ploy to for people to really get you on their level. You know, sometimes people aren't happy until they take you out of your zone. They don't really want nothing. They don't want to build nothing. They just want you to stop building.
Right.
You know, and so you got to think about that mindset and where that comes from. It comes from people being out of alignment with themselves, having no purpose, having no peace, and having no happiness. And so you got nothing left but to project a lot of your trauma and aggressions on other people who look like they're happy. You know, and these are things you got to be conscious of. So overall, it's just all the mindset. You know, it's a mindset. Strengthen your mindset. When I mentor my boys and my groups, you know, I let them know you here because my mindset is strong. For me to protect you, I have to help you build a strong mindset. I can't follow you everywhere. I'm not going to always be with you. But if I can help strengthen your mind, you will be able to process this world properly and productively. So when they come to tell you who you are, you won't let them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You will maintain and stand your ground on your character, and you will continue to project from that until they give you what you deserve or until you take what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it does have to do with trauma.
Yeah.
You know, and trauma, everybody has trauma. Nobody's excluded from trauma. I think a lot of people think like, oh, well, I don't have trauma. Like, you know, I had a pretty good childhood. You know, I got raised okay. Like, no, everybody has trauma. Like, just growing up as a child and becoming an adult is traumatic. Even if you were pampered in every single way, there's something that's going to happen in your life that's going to be traumatic to you. Just growing up from a child to an adult, there is trauma. It's not about if you have trauma, it's about what trauma did you have.
Yeah, 100%.
And addressing that trauma and understanding how is that trauma affecting your life.
Right.
Are you projecting that trauma onto others?
Right.
Or are you reflecting that into yourself and figuring out where is this coming from?
Right.
Is this authentic to me? Is this a reflection of something that happened to me when I was a child and I haven't dealt with it within myself? So now I'm going to tell everybody else it's their problem and to make myself feel better? You know, am I going to bring others down to make me feel better because I'm insecure about myself? Or am I going to look deep into myself and say, this is my problem? I got to deal with this.
Right.
I got to overcome this. And a lot of times it's passed down generation to generation before it's ever gets solved.
Right.
You know, you could think, oh, well, my parents passed this down to me. It's their fault. What if their parents pass it down to them?
Yeah.
And their parents pass it down to them.
Facts.
So it's not your fault that you got traumatized, but it is your fault if you don't overcome that trauma.
Your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. Yeah. So we all have trauma. We all have these generational things that come down on us. And maybe our parents have made it a long way since where they came down from. Yeah. You know, maybe they had it way worse than you and they gave you a better childhood than they had. But you could still make your children's life even better than what you had and what they had.
Right.
You can always make it better and better, right? So you don't have to blame them for the childhood you had. All you got to say is, look, they probably have it even worse, and they maybe have made it so far, and it's my turn to take it even further. And so keep going and keep diving into those traumas and figure out what happened, why do I feel this way, and how is this trauma affecting my life? Am I projecting it onto others, or am I self-internalizing these things and coming to terms with them and accepting them and then moving past them consciously instead of subconsciously spewing that against the world? Right? Because a lot of times we'll come at somebody and project something onto somebody else because we don't know how to deal with it ourselves.
Right, 100%.
But as soon as we deal with it ourselves, we start seeing how other people do that to us. We start seeing other people getting mad at us, and instead of taking it personally, we go, man, you must be having a hard day. Are you all right?
Yeah.
Man,
That's growth.
Man, screw you, blah, blah, you're da-da-da.
That's growth.
Man, are you having a hard day? You start feeling bad for people, right? That are rude to you, because instead of engaging in that negativity and being like, oh man, screw this guy, he's telling me I'm about to tell him off. You go, man, that guy's hurt. Right. That guy's got some trauma he hasn't dealt with. That guy needs help. That guy needs a friend. That guy, you know? Instead of being like, taking it personally and maybe thinking all these things are about you, because you know who you are. Like, once you know who you are, nobody can tell you who you are, and you don't believe it. Because when you stand on something, it's like, if you don't stand for nothing, you fall for everything.
100%.
Right? So as soon as you stand for something, you don't fall for nothing. You don't fall for these little things. You know, when somebody tells you something that is other than who you are, you just laugh at them. You just go, okay, yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, whatever you say, right? Like, I don't care, because I know me. There's nothing you can tell me about me that's going to change my mind about who I know I am. Right? If it's constructive criticism, you know, maybe it's something I didn't think about, I'll definitely take it into consideration, be like, yeah, maybe you're right, and I'll work on myself. I'm always open to doing that. But if it's just somebody projecting their own insecurity on me, trying to make me feel bad about who I am because they can't deal with their own stuff, I don't play like that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I know myself and because I can stand on it.
Right. And the first question is, you know, and what we all got to ask ourselves when we're being attacked or disrespected, we got to ask ourselves, number one, is what they saying, is it true?
Right.
You know what I mean? If it's true, then we need to take some accountability.
100%.
If it's false, and then we know that they probably projected through some lens of some trauma that they've experienced that's probably unprocessed. You know, and so that's an amazing point, you know, and it's cool to discuss trauma. You know, you don't want to avoid that, because trauma doesn't hide, it doesn't go away, it don't disappear until it's dealt with, you know. And one of the ways I know to process trauma, because I had to process a lot of trauma. I like to think that I'm healed, you know, but then when I think about it, I guess the truth is you don't ever really fully heal.
It's a process,
you know, because it's such a long process, you know, and I realized that I might not be super healed from being from the streets, you know, being a black man in America, growing up in the inner city, you know, without a male role model, you know, or a strong father figure, you know, and having to find my way through the streets myself, you know what I'm saying, and all the bad experiences I had. So I don't project that, because, again, I internalized it, processed it, took accountability. So I don't project that on nobody. So people would think that I never been through nothing, but it's really not the truth if you know where I come from. But one tool that I can use to help get further along in the healing process in trauma is you got to educate yourself on the difference between, you know, where you come from and where you're going. Right? The kind of people that you got to educate yourself on the difference between the people that you aspire to be like and the people that you don't aspire to be like. You got to educate yourself on the difference between men and women that are here to destroy and men and women that are here to build. And if you don't educate yourself, you'll see them as all the same. And then you call yourself saying, oh, I don't want no man. I don't want no woman. No, I don't want to do that. I can't be successful. You know, you'll block yourself by putting a blanket over everything under your trauma blanket. Everything will go under there. You'll think everything's bad. This is because you're not educated on the differences between what's bad and what's good, right? And so as you start the process, as you learn yourself more, you start to study more about people. I like to study people. I listen, watch, read, energy, vibrations, everything. And I know a lot about people here to build and people here to destroy. There's very, very clear differences on people that are good for you and people that are not. So you need to educate yourself on those differences so that you can protect yourself from the things here to destroy you, but leave yourself open and available to extraordinarily good circumstances and people. So we not gonna go too long. Any last thoughts, bro?
I mean, just one thing on that. I mean, I know I recently had an interaction. I'm not gonna, say names or anything, but with this woman, and she told me, she said, you know, we had a brief interaction, and I've known her for a lot of years, but just recently when we interacted, she was talking about how she had this idea of men her whole life, that men are just horrible people, right? That they're just aggressive, they're rude, they're abusive, they're terrible. She never had good influences in her life as men. But since she had been friends with me and we had been talking recently on a deep level, she said, you kind of gave me hope in that maybe men aren't as bad as I thought.
Of course.
Because all it takes is seeing one person that is different than your vision of this stereotype that you have, you know, and then you start to say, oh, wow, maybe that stereotype isn't true.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people, maybe they're racist because a lot of the black people they met are just not good people. But then you meet a good black person, you go, wow, you know what? That stereotype is not true. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it's this whole idea of they classify everybody based on one interaction they had with one type of person.
Of course.
Instead of realizing that maybe that's just one subset of that.
Yeah.
You know, and so broadening your horizons and realizing that, like, we're all different. You know what I mean? Every single person is unique, and sure, we might have these classifications or we might have these broad stereotypes about different parts of us. Every single person is unique in their own way, and that's your authenticity.
Yep.
And you are not like in some group with other people, and that doesn't define who you are. You might be a part of a group or a part of an organization or a part of a category or a stereotype, but that is not all of who you are. That is one part of who you are.
Right.
And who you truly are authentically is unique, every single person.
Right. So in the closing note, if you want to embrace some of the good parts and good things that the world has to offer, learn to see yourself as an individual and operate out of that.
That's
and
right.
Learn to see others in humanity as individuals. And then you start to embrace and extract the good things out of what's out there. And then you'll have a formula for recognizing what's good and a formula for recognizing what's bad.
I love it, man.
We out.